Yes. Oh, here it goes.
Hello,
Hello.
are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I'm here. Oh, and there's Adrienne.
All right. Can you hear this?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
how is
Can
it
You
going?
you can hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
can
good.
hear you.
Good. It's going great. How are you?
Doing so good.
Thanks. Oh my gosh. Siri just answered me.
Siri's like, I'm fantastic tonight. That's so
That's so
creepy.
funny. I was looking down. I was like, that doesn't sound like Lee Ellen.
She said, I'm great, thanks.
That's
That's so
so funny.
bizarre.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to talk with you tonight. We love your
Thanks for
book.
having me.
Yeah. People are slowly going to start joining on over the next few minutes. I can see that Rebecca, Marion, and Carrie are already logging in. Just
Yay.
to remind everyone, if you want to tell us where you're logging in from in the chat should be open. Make sure it's switched over to everyone so that we can see you telling us where you're from.
Perfect.
Leellen and I are both in Waco, Texas, right now.
Yeah, I'll say that. Like, hey, everybody, I'm in
Oh,
Waco.
we've got someone from Amarillo. Where are you in from tonight, Adrienne?
Asheville, North Carolina.
One of my
Oh,
favorites. I grew up in North Carolina and am
Oh,
a big
yay.
East Coast girly at heart. So I go through Asheville every time I travel through to my hometown, Rocky Mount, and I usually spend a day or two in the area. I have a lot of family in the Blue Ridge Mountains of
Oh, okay.
Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, just like where they all meet.
Yeah.
All right
The
there.
like, yeah, it's so close to so many things.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Texas, but
oh,
I
fun.
really love
We
living in the Blue
flip-flop.
Ridge. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
From the Dallas area.
Okay.
Okay, so not
Yeah.
actually, wait, no. I know this because a few years ago, is it true? Have you been to Fabled before?
Yeah, I've been a couple times. Yeah.
Sneakily.
Because you will sneakily sign your books, and no one on our management staff has ever been able to meet you. And we were just like,
So
we're like,
fun.
oh my gosh, how do we get signed books from Adrienne? And one of our, booksellers was like, oh, she was here on Saturday. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. My niece is a student at Baylor
Oh, cool.
and I love her so much. And so I try to visit her whenever I can. And whenever I'm there, we stop in at the bookstore because it's her favorite bookstore.
Hmm.
Ah, we're
Love
glad.
it.
It's
We love hearing
our
that.
favorite bookstore too.
We're a little
Yeah.
partial.
It's a great spot and it's so cute.
It
I've bought several things there that like I really didn't need, but they were really cute.
is. Yes.
I mean, we're bookish people. We always need something.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. It looks like a few more people are hopping in. If you haven't already, tell us where you're here from in the chat. There's a couple different sections here where it's like chat, Q&A. You just need to click the chat and just say
Yeah.
hi to everyone.
Love.
Also in the chat is where if any of you guys tuning in have questions throughout the conversation tonight, that's where you can drop them. Got Pflugerville, Texas. Love the
Mm.
Austin area. Hi, Amanda. But
Oh,
it
Amanda.
is 7 o'clock, so I'll
Yeah.
let Lee Ellen officially get us started.
Drum roll. Brrr. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Guild. This is Fabled's Fantasy Book Club, and we're just super happy to have you here with us to finally get to talk about Fallen City with Adrienne Young tonight. I'm Lee Ellen, and I am a book buyer here at Fabled, and this is Kai. Say hello, Kai.
Hi, Kai. Well, yes, I'm Kai. I am the communications and events manager here at Fabled, and Leanne and I are both big fantasy reading fans.
We
So we're glad
are.
to.
As we go about our housekeeping here, we're just going to kind of blurb some stuff. But I want to let you know that if you haven't finished the book, stop watching because spoilers abound in this. And we will email you tomorrow the replay, and you can go ahead and watch it after you finish. But we're going to dive in and we're going to ask a lot of questions. There will be time at the end and throughout the chat when we will answer your questions. So you can just pop them in the chat if you want or in the Q&A, and we will take a peek at them. And stay tuned at the very end because we will come back and announce our pick for January. We're skipping December because holidays are crazy enough, but we'll come back in January. So we've already got that book and chat planned. So come back for that.
Yes, and I'm going to do the official introduction of the fabulous Adrienne Young, who is a foodie with a deep love of history and travel and a shameless addiction to coffee. When she's not writing, you can find her on her yoga mat, sipping wine over long dinners or disappearing into her favorite art museums. She lives with her documentary filmmaker husband and their 4 little wildlings in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, and she is the author of the New York Times bestselling Sky in the Deep Duology in the World of the Narrows series. Tonight, we are talking about Fallen City. In this book, we are catapulted into the lives of Maris Casperia, the daughter of a magistrate, and Luca Matius, a legionnaire, as their actions spark a revolution that changed the course of their entire world. Political turmoil throws them together and tears them apart from start to finish as they balance loyalties, secrets, greed, politics, love, and ultimately sacrifice. This is the first in the Fallen City duology, which all of us in here that have finished the book very much know it's a duology. And we got no resolution at the end. But so excited to chat about this book tonight.
Yay! Welcome, Adrienne.
Thanks for having me. That was a really good pitch. I feel like we should use that on the Amazon page.
Yes,
like
thank you.
More riveting.
Can email it to y'all later.
Okay, so Adrienne, I know we all want to skip to the very end and find out what the heck is going to happen next, but let's start in the beginning. We're going to start in the beginning. So, you've now written 10 books, which is insane. I have read all of them. You have your own shelf in my library.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that kind of fun? I still
Yeah, that's
Sky in the Deep.
commitment.
That's commitment there. I even have the crazy like special editions, right? Gotta have those.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
But I would love to know, since you are now, a tenured person in this industry, what made you decide to become a writer, and what kind of advice would you have for people that are considering pursuing it?
Yeah, so so this is gonna like sound really funny, but when I was a kid and I was like growing up, writing was really the only thing I was good at. Like I was not a good student, I wasn't an athlete. I just like writing was the thing that I felt confident about from a young age, and mostly because adults complimented me on it. So, and
They're nice adults you had around you.
well, yeah, I mean, they didn't like me very much. I was in trouble all the time. But they like one of my teachers who, oh my gosh, I probably stressed her out so much. She gave me detention like every day. But she is the first person who submitted my writing to writing competitions. And so she was like, oh, you're the worst, but also you're a good writer. Like she just was like, oh, she's passed on now. She was very old when I was like really young. I actually tried to look her up when my first book came out, and she had already passed away, which I figured was the case. But anyway, her name was Mrs. Zweig. And yeah, so I kind of grew up with this passion for writing, and it was like, my literature creative writing classes were the only classes I got A's in because they were the only ones I cared about. And I also felt like it was not a realistic goal to become an author. So I didn't plan on pursuing it professionally. I just planned on continuing to do it as a hobby. And then when I was in my 20s, I got married young. I started having kids really young. And I basically had a major identity crisis that led me back into writing and kind of dreaming about doing it more seriously. So I started, toying with the idea and starting to kind of, let myself dream a little bit more about it. And it took quite a while, quite a few manuscripts, but eventually I got an agent and was able to sell Sky in the Deep. So it's kind of a wayward path. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. You can always count on somewhat mean teachers and chaotic families to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah.
I am curious, are you much of a reader or were you growing up and did you have any like books that you grew up on or authors that maybe influenced you in your writing journey?
Well, even when I wasn't, so this is kind of going back to me getting in trouble all the time, I got like sent to the library regularly
As like
to get,
punishment? That's
yeah,
the
like
best punishment ever.
like to get rid of me. So, and oh my gosh, the librarian also really hated me. But her name was Mrs. Taylor,
I love that
and
you still remember.
she did not like me at all. And she went to our church, and so I would see her at church, and she'd be like giving me the stink eye. Anyway, but so I spent a lot of time in the library even before I was a reader, and I really liked the library, and I really liked looking at all the books. Like I loved to look at all the covers and read the backs and like open them up, and like I just loved books, but I really wasn't much of a reader. That really didn't come until later. Like there were a few books I really loved like in elementary school, but I didn't become really a reader until like middle school and was reading, kind of like coming of age things. Like one of the most formative books for me was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Mm.
I've read it so many times. And then of course, I got into the Harry Potter series and fantasy and things like that. And yeah, so I did fall in love with reading.
So
I love
cool.
it. I have a hard time picturing you as like the naughty kid.
I
Yeah.
just sorry as a kid I when I got grounded I got my books taken away. The thought of like my punishment being sent to books just is
Hmm.
so funny. I don't think I've ever heard that.
That's pretty
Yeah.
great though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Really,
I
you're like,
didn't
thank
mind it.
you.
I think it was kind of this thing of like they can't keep sending me to the office like
Right.
every day and I just sit in the office. So they eventually started sending me to the
Keep her
library.
busy. Give her some books to read.
Yeah.
And you're like, thank
Hmm.
you. Okay, well, speaking of books, you have written multiple, like I love this about you. Like you've written your YA books, but then you started writing adult books, but they were still magical and magical realism. Um, but this is your first full-on adult fantasy book.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that choice and that journey and how it was different and like what made you want to branch out into this type of a genre.
So when I sold Sky in the Deep as my debut, I always knew and my agent always knew our plan was always that I was going to write adult eventually.
Okay.
And when I started um writing adult fiction, which my debut in adult was Spells for Forgetting, it kind of was different than what I'd been writing in YA. Right, what I was writing in YA was very much fantasy, and this was more like magical realism. Kind of magical small town mystery type stuff.
Historical
And
fiction-y. I know, like genre
yeah,
bending.
yeah, books are very genre bending.
Yeah.
And so I I always knew that I would also write adult fantasy, but I wasn't in too much of a hurry to do it because I just feel like no matter how much like publicizing you do and how smart you try to be with the marketing, just get confused. So I was like, okay, I already have my young adult fantasy and I have my adult magical realism. And so I was like, once I have like too many books to really name, I'll just start throwing out these other genres and like it won't matter anymore, you
Will
know?
anyone notice? Will
Um,
anyone notice I'm switching gears again?
yeah. So I always plan to write adult fantasy, but Fallen City, I actually sold as young adult. And I sold
Ah,
it back in 2020 at the very beginning of the pandemic, like the month that everything started getting shut down. And it got delayed a ton because I decided to write more Fable books and then I debuted in adult and it just kept getting kind of pushed out on the timeline. And by the time I like sat down to actually write that book, it had changed a lot. Like the original pitch for the book was totally different. The only thing that really stayed the same was the setting. and the fact that the city was under siege. And so I changed a lot in that time. The story developed in a way that I didn't expect. And so when I wrote the first draft, I told my editor, like, I'm kind of concerned about this because this doesn't feel like YA. And um like the worst thing you can do is give readers a book and tell them it's one thing and really it's something else. So I was like, this is not going to work. It's not going to work in YA because YA, there are hallmarks and there's always exceptions to the rule, but like this book is not fast paced enough for YA. It gets really into the weeds on world building in some aspects, like in a lot of
Politics.
YA. Yeah, and the politics, like YA readers they're not coming to the book for those things. And so I was just concerned. I was like, I feel like I don't know about this. And then once my editor read it, she was like, okay, I see what you're saying. But it just so happened, like this very serendipitous thing happened where my editor opened a new imprint as a sister imprint to my imprint. So like my young adult fantasies under this imprint, they opened a new one
Wednesday.
just for adult. Yeah. So Wednesday
Saturday.
Books opened Saturday.
Yeah.
And so my editor was like, what if we just like,
Slid you
like
over a
just
notch.
come over here. Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
so
fascinating.
so I got the opportunity to, be a part of their inaugural list. And let the book be actually what it was, because I really didn't want to age it down.
Mm.
And I'm certainly not done with YA either. I love YA, but I didn't know this one was going to be my like first adult fantasy, and it just kind of wound up that way.
Mm.
Whoa, that's so cool. I'm curious, like to really start talking about like Fallen City. What was
Mhm.
like the initial brain baby inspiration for this book? Like pre 2020, and then as it got pushed back, like when did
Mhm.
your gears really start working on like the place, the setting, the characters? What was that initial inspiration like?
So I signed with my agent in February 2017, and I got the idea for Fallen City very soon after. And I think I was just like so eager to come up with as many ideas as possible, and I mean, I get ideas all the time, but not all of them actually make it to the development stage. Like they just kind of like fall off, or they just don't have legs under them. So Fallen City was one that just kind of kept sticking in my mind. And it really started with the whole trapped in a city, like a walled city that's under siege and you cannot leave. And so normally I don't necessarily get story ideas that way, like based on a setting. But this one was unique in that way. And I was just very intrigued by it. I kept thinking about it. And then I went in 2019, I went to Italy and spent some time in Rome. And then I spent some time on the Amalfi Coast. And that kind of really solidified the vision, I think, for the book. Like I just was just that city, like that like stone dusty city that's like kind of near the coast, and just I don't know, the visuals like became very very visceral to me. And the story stuff like was still all changing in my head. But the city really it was the original inspiration and has stayed very true to the original like vision.
I feel like you can feel that in the reading, like the Roman inspiration really comes out strong. Um, Along with your trip, what other types of research did you have to do? Because like there's a lot of political machinations in this book. There's like the whole layers of rank and legionnaires and all that kind of thing. So like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's very different from other books that you've written. So what was your research like for this?
I did so much research. I did way more research than I needed to do because that's like one of my procrastination things that like I'm like, oh, I've got to research all these things and spend hours and hours reading about them instead of like actually editing the book or something.
Right.
Terrible about that. But I also just really enjoy research. So I'm
Mm.
always looking for an excuse to research stuff. One of the things, obviously I did some historical research and really looking at the fall of the Roman Empire, how
Mm.
that happened. I am just endlessly fascinated by not just the Roman Empire, but any of these like great ancient empires that completely fell. Like they didn't just morph into something else, they like just
Had an
died.
epic collapse.
Yeah.
Yes, like I still just cannot get my head around it. Like how, like all of their innovations, all of their technology, sciences, philosophy, all of these things that they were able to accomplish, not to mention military accomplishments and conquering all these like territories and whatever. Um, how? It's just like it just blows my mind. And then to be followed by the Dark Ages, I can't. I just
Mm.
can't even. Like I just can't get over it.
How do we go from here to here?
I know. I'm like, this really happened. And I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
part of the reason that my mind is so fascinated with that is because it's like so hard for us to imagine like our own empire falling,
But
And
history
so
always repeats itself. So if we don't
totally.
start learning from it, it's just going to keep
Yeah.
being a circle.
Totally. So it's like, I think it's like the fascination plus the like, terror kind
Mm.
of like, oh my gosh, like any civilization can fall. And so I did a lot of research in that regard. But I think the research that I wound up enjoying the most was the military records, from the Romans. They kept great records.
Mm.
And I'm not this really surprised me because I'm not like into war. It's not like my thing, but I just really fell down the rabbit hole with a lot of the accounts from like huge battles that they did, sieges that they undertook. Carthage was one that I looked into like pretty deeply. Um, and just like seeing all the ways that they use the resources that they had available to them to accomplish their goals. I mean, I don't like admire these people, but I just was like, from a story level, there was just so much to kind of mine and pull from and get inspiration. And you see a lot of that in the second book. The second book is like a lot more like the siege warfare. And book one is kind of leading up to a lot of that.
Yeah, it really kicks in at the like 10% left mark. You're like, oh, siege is happening now.
Mhm.
Great. So yes, definitely anticipating that for book two. I am curious, your backlist tends to be more on the like ethereal or whimsical tone and style that you're kind of known for, especially with like Fable and those books. And this one feels very structured, rigid, political. Was that inspired from just like the research of like the Romans and the war and all that? Or like what was your approach to the writing rhythms of this one that's different from your other ones?
I mean, I think that this book is sad and dark.
Mm.
And
Yes,
Agreed.
thank you for
it's,
breaking my heart.
yeah, it just is. This is fun because this is actually the first spoiler any kind of conversation I've gotten to
Right.
do since it just came out. But this book is very much, all of my books wind up kind of being an opportunity for me to kind of wrestle with and digest things
Mm.
that I'm currently thinking, feeling, experiencing. And I think that this book is so much tied to just a, a sense of, or I want to be hopeful
Mm.
about humanity and about like the future of the world. But I do also feel like I'm living at a time where I'm so bombarded with like things that make me not hopeful that I'm just really struggling. There's so much friction there for me right now.
Mm.
And so I feel like I was working a lot of that stuff out when I was working on the first book, especially. The second book kind of travels into like other themes that still build on the ones in the first book. And I've just finished working on the second book. And so that it's been interesting to see like comparing the two and just like where my head has been at and where my heart has been at, because I mean, it's writing really is a outlet for me to kind of try to make sense of things that I don't understand.
Mm.
And war is one of them. And, you know, uh, and all the things that that encapsulates, and you know, all the things you said in your pitch, like greed and corruption and all those things. It's just like, I just, again, I can't accept it, and so I just, my brain is like warring against it, and I feel like this book is a manifestation of that for sure.
I feel like you felt that when you read it. Like there's this wrestling tension throughout the novel that it kind of gave me Red Rising vibes, where you have this um broken system. You have these young idealistic people that are like, when we're in charge, we're going to change the world. But then they get in charge and they make the same crappy decisions as the leaders before them. And you're stuck
Yeah.
in this loop of like, how do we ever stop being terrible people?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And can we?
and
Is it even
can we?
possible? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when you were writing this, like, did your focus was your focus more on the relationship between the two, Luca and Maris, or um even the friendships, or was the focus for your writing more the politics and those kind of dynamics?
I feel like it had to, I mean, I really had to split my focus with this book because all of the political stuff is informing all of the emotional stuff. And
Hmm.
so all the dynamics between the characters, and the characters, their dynamics and their relationships are what they are, the expression, right? And kind of mirror of all the other things. And so that made the construction of the novel quite challenging in the beginning, because I wound up with so much more story than I expected. That the book, I mean, the series could have been 3 books probably, but I sold 2 books, so I
We
had
want three.
to, yeah,
In
I
fact, like
had,
as I'm reading it, I was like, this is how Pierce ended up having like 7 books. I can see it. Like you can like this
yeah.
as I'm reading it, and like I said like earlier, like you realize like, oh my gosh, there's only 4 chapters left. How is all of this gonna resolve in 4 chapters? When and it doesn't. But then I'm
Hmm.
even thinking this could be so many books. Like there's so many layers to this story now, and I'm
Yeah.
so invested in everybody.
Yeah, and it's tough because like there's so many little rabbit holes in the world that like I didn't even go down in the book, because
Yeah.
they're not relevant to the story I'm telling, or I don't have page time, and books are expensive the more pages they are. You know, it's just like you have to make a lot of choices.
Yeah.
But this is one of those stories that I feel like could be a long series if that
Yeah.
is what I planned. Fable was similar too in that way.
Oh
But
yeah, because that
I
started off as a duology and then grew.
hmm Yeah, and I mean, in the Fable world, I could write a million books in that world. Like I
Yeah.
easily. And this one too, I could keep going. I could, you know, jump onto other characters' stories and explore other parts of this world if I wanted to. And I would love to, but like also there's so many other books I want to write. So
Why do you have to be so creative? Come on.
I wish I do. I mean, having a lot of ideas is a good problem to have, but like
Yeah.
also it makes it like, you know, anxiety inducing. Like I'm never gonna have the time to write all the books I want to write.
I mean, that's how
I
we feel as readers. We're never going to be able to read all the books. I mean, that we all have in our
I
life.
love
Yeah.
that you said anxiety inducing, because that's literally, ask Leellen.
I
Half of
think she
my
said that in
comments on
her.
our notes was like, this book was anxiety inducing in all the best ways. And one of the ways that I wanted to specifically ask about, because yeah, that anxiety inducing method is working, was the decision to do the dual timelines and dual POVs. Like that's not an easy thing to do. At any point, did you
Hmm.
try to make it linear, or did you just know early on you were going to go back and forth? I was like, I will say, I at first I was hesitant. I was like, oh no. It's like, one, am I smart enough to keep up with what's going on? But as I was getting into it, it increased the tension in this book tenfold by having it set up that way. Why did you do that to us as readers?
Well, I did it because I had to. Because when I initially wrote the first draft of this book, it was all the present timeline. And that's when like the story started developing to a much deeper level. And that's when I was like, dang, this probably should have been, or could have, not should have been, it could have been three books. Like that past timeline in Fallen City, like that could have been its own book. And when I was like writing the present timeline of Fallen City, I was like, I can't just, this is too much. And this stuff is too important for me to like try to convey to the reader through dialogue or like historical stuff or info dumps. It was not going to work. And so I decided to experiment with the dual timeline because I was already for sure in dual POV and knew I was going to do that and had already drafted that way. But I didn't want to just tell the past timeline from one of their perspectives because there's so much going on both sides. And so I started doing it and I was like, oh my God, this is complicated and like overwhelming and whatever. But it took a lot of fine tuning to get the pacing right. And because that's like the real risk, right? It's like the pacing. But in the end, I was like very happy with the amount of tension it created. And I'm kind of glad it worked out that way and it wasn't its own book. Because the first book would have just been this like, not just, but it would have been more of like a straight up like Romeo and Juliet type
It almost feels like it would have
story.
started YA and then switched to adult or something,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
like slightly younger. And that's I just love that the timelines are just barely apart. Usually, when there's dual timelines, there's like 10, 50 year gap. This is like
yeah.
just such a short amount of time. And so it's like, wait, I do feel like I'm getting to know them growing up with them, but also they're already adults. Oh my gosh, it's happening right now.
Yeah. And it's also like you have that question in your head the whole time of like, what could have possibly happened in this amount of time for like this to hit, for
Yeah.
the current timeline to be where we are. And so that wound up being a fun, like, reader experience, I
fun
think.
for you, stressful for us.
Speaking of stressful, your characters. Oh my gosh. We'll talk about a lot of them. Obviously, there's like Luca and Maris. This is your romantic, our main characters. Opposites attract here. Rich girl, poor boy, so much there. But before we talk about them, I was so weirdly obsessed, I think, and this could just be me overanalyzing as I do. But Ophelius and the philosopher Rhea Vitracia, I don't know
Mhm.
how you say her name.
Mhm.
The specific female power dynamics that they bring into both sides of the story, being somewhat mother figures, but also just like literal vessels of power and knowledge. I was very curious as like, was making them female intentional specifically because of this like Roman structure? Like you think of, all these like power hungry males. So to have these like insanely powerful females that ultimately like the power leads to their deaths, like was it intentional to make them female? Because I felt like that was such a big part of the story for me as a reader, like seeing those aspects in them.
Yeah, I think their role in the story, which I won't keep saying this, but like in book two, like you're gonna go on a journey, like
Can you just hurry up and
about
set this
them.
book to now?
Yeah. um, but they kind of their function and relevance in the world becomes a lot more complicated in book two, and you kind of get to
More
see a lot
complicated.
more. Yeah, you get to understand a lot more. And I think that I love that they're women too. I think that the reason they felt like women to me when I was initially writing them was because what they wind up doing is like they're able to have the knowledge and have the spirituality and whatever, but with this unique feminine insight into kind of like what is harming like the human condition in their
Mhm.
city. And that felt uniquely feminine to me. So I yeah, I love that they're women. I also love that they are mothers, right? They do kind of they're mothering these two characters,
Mhm.
but also they're orchestrators, you know, like Ophelia and Rhea both, they tell Maris and Luca, they put them in each other's paths, you know?
Yeah.
They, and so like you're kind of left wondering, like, did they know? Like, did they, like, was this their plan? You
Hmm.
know, all of that, like you get to dig more into that in book two, but they're just very mysterious figures to me. And they're both dead at the, you know, like at some
Yeah.
point. And so it's like, I don't know. I just love that they're dead.
That's very
But we're like
prophetic.
dealing with all of the fallout, you know, like
Hmm.
really like all the fall, the whole book is the fallout of their actions.
Hmm.
And, you know, Maris and Luca are pawns of the city, but they also, in a way, are kind of pawns of the priestess and the philosopher as well. Like they're being used by multiple people for multiple purposes. So, you know, Luca and Maris start figuring that out, definitely.
I think that was fun, like reading from their perspective, because like as they're going through the story and you're getting both like, the past and the present, you are aware that they are pawns, but it's in their own perspective. And
Hmm.
I felt like there were times where I was like, do y'all not see what's happening to you right now?
We're finding it
Like,
out as they're finding it out.
please.
No.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing I loved about your characters I'm a boy mom. I have three sons, and you had really healthy male dynamics in this novel. Like I loved the friendship with Luca and Vale and I mean even we don't know what's going on with Theo, but Theo
I love him
like
so
who is
much.
he related to? We all love Theo. I'm like, what is going on with Theo? He's very protective. He's very
so
devoted. There's something going on with
mysterious.
Theo. Do we get more of Theo in the next book?
Oh
Um,
yes. And
but
you get to learn something very big about him at the very beginning of book two.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
We
I
need
love
more
him.
Theo. Brittany says that she would love a novella about him. She said, I need to know more of his story.
Oh yeah, he could have his own novella. He's so great.
Literally, I was like, one of my notes was like, Theo, mysterious. What is his deal? That was
Yeah.
my whole like commentary. I was like, oh, so good.
Yeah. He's so great and he really like comes into his own in book two and like I
Are you
love
gonna make like a love triangle?
no.
Okay.
I don't mind spoiling that
You
for
may
you
read it,
because
but I'm like,
you can pretty much count on me never writing a love
I'm like, you don't do
triangle.
that. That's why I love you.
I'm not a fan of love triangles. But no, I also I would love to write a Theo novella because I would love to write his love story with Acinia
Oh,
because they have a really cool story as well.
they do. Well, just
Hmm.
their whole protective nature I love as well.
Hmm.
So that's what
Yeah.
I mean. I just love that you wrote these like tender males. Like here you have this warring factions, but they all like the way that Vale loves Luca is so powerful and central to the novel
Hmm.
because he's really you realize he is in his position of power for protection. He's helping
Hmm.
Luca because otherwise Luca would be in charge and he doesn't want to be in charge.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean the thing I love about all of these dudes also is that they're super aware of their own flaws. Like
yeah.
they're very aware. You know, it's not like this like
Like no
toxic
restriction.
bravado machismo like I'm
Right.
a warrior and I'm, you know, gonna blah blah blah. Like they're super aware of their shortcomings and their lack of being equipped and like they're really messing it up as they go and but do also doing their best and I love that about those characters.
It made me fall in love with all of them even more. For sure.
You had really great, kind, lovely male characters. You also had a couple stinkers in there that was not as big a fan of.
Yeah.
Which this is a trope that like it's so common, and every time it just gets my goat, and I hate to love to read it. So I'm just like I appreciate it so much. But the somewhat father slash uncle slash paternal figure
Evil paternal
being the
leader.
betrayer. Oh my gosh, Nej, not only did he like sell out Maris, he sold out the city, the
Mhm.
Yeah.
whole city to, oh my gosh. Why? Just
I think he would have loved to not have to do that. I think his first choice would have been to just, become consul or just like be the king of all, right? But I think when it became clear that the new legion that they were going to lose to the new legion, that was like his next best plan. He's like, okay, I'm for sure gonna get killed and we're for sure gonna lose the Citadel. Like what can he's a schemer. And so, and even like, his relationship with Maris is so infuriating because I think he does have this like affection and love for her, but only so far as he can use her,
yeah.
And I mean, look what he did to his sister, like it's, he's just, he's the worst.
Yeah,
Ugh.
him. And I have such mixed feelings too about Raskia. Like I want to
Hmm.
hate him, but I also kind of
Mixed
want to
feelings.
have
No, you have to hate
but
him,
I also
Kai.
kind of feel like I have hope for him. I yearn for like a bad boy turned good through like crazy circumstances.
Hmm.
So just tell me
No, he's
now,
terrible.
does Raskia just say stay awful and ruthless, or is there
I
like
won't tell you.
okay, dang. Oh man,
He has like yeah, I mean he's complicated.
Mm.
He's a complicated dude.
like that he
So
just
he's going to be in book 2 more.
Yeah, he's in book two.
Yeah.
I have
Hmm.
so many questions about it because again, like each of your characters, you put just enough background for each of them to like really scratch an itch in my brain of like I wanna know what happens here. And Raskia definitely I was like he just has some childhood trauma that he's trying to overcome. I can feel it. And like if he gets through it, they could
Yeah.
be friends. Like you know?
Yeah. Well, and he's kind of like he's a bit of like a foil for Luca and Vale as well because
Yeah.
they want the same things
Mm.
for a lot of the same reasons. Like, yeah, maybe he does have some power stuff, but like they have a lot in common. And in his mind, he's just willing to do the dirtier work
Mm.
that is required. Like he's accepted. It's like Luca and Vale are constantly fighting against what it takes to do what they're trying to do, which is like their whole problem, right? Like they were like, oh, we're gonna like take
They
the
want to be the
city
good
and
guys, but have someone else do the bad stuff, right? But
right. But in order to win, you can't be a good guy, which
right.
Yeah.
is like my whole like
Your whole point.
disillusionment with power in
Right.
general, like which it really is like the root of all of my angst about this because I feel like anyone who can get into a position that is powerful enough to actually make changes to get to that point, you can't be a good person.
You're part of the problem again.
Yeah, because you have to survive a system
Right.
that would take you out long before you get there. So like it's just yeah, it's like
Mm.
so dark to think about, but at the same time I'm like I feel like that's why I really enjoyed writing Raskia because I feel like he kind of sees this for what it is, but
Yeah.
he's okay with it, whereas Vale and Luca have this like conscious like their conscious is like, you know,
It's
not
that
okay
morally
with it.
gray. They've got the morally gray. Like they want
Hmm.
everything to work out nicely, but
Yeah.
war is not
But that's
nice.
not how, yeah, that's just not how the world works. Yeah.
Right. Can we talk about the famine? Like I thought
Hmm.
that was an interesting aspect of the story because it does kind of bring in, our modern day issues of millions of
Hmm.
people and climate change and at some point we're going to run out of
Hmm.
food. But I found it interesting how it played out in like in a warring aspect, that it
Hmm.
was a power play. So, I mean, is
Yeah.
that kind of something that you learned in your like studies of Roman rule, that they would like threaten
Well,
that or withhold that from people? And
I think the so in this world, the famine is something that the people are trying to interpret, right? Or not the people, because they don't know about it right away, but the leaders. And so they try to fix it with like science and they
Mhm.
can't. And so then there are those who start becoming convinced that this is like a punishment, a supernatural punishment from the gods. And so the thing about that problem is that it can destroy an entire population of people. So it's not just like this little thing over here, like maybe like an outbreak of like some kind of sickness that's going to kill like just a little section of your city. Like a famine's going to wipe out everybody.
Everyone.
Right. So the stakes are really high, and the interpretation is also powerful. So depending on how you want to interpret the famine, right? Like the people who know about it are trying to spin it one way, and then when everyone finds out about it, the forum is trying to spin it another way that serves their
Yeah.
purposes. And so I think, again, mirroring what we're seeing in our own world. Um, obviously we're not in this city, and like the gods aren't punishing us by taking away our topsoil. We're like doing that ourselves. But
Like, what
I
is true?
do,
How do you know what's true about what's really happening?
right, what is true? And then also just that, again, that reflection of like that what is happening to our planet is a result of
Mhm.
a lot of these systems that aren't fair and aren't good and aren't beneficial for like a global society.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's the same thing with Isara, like I think a lot of people wind up believing that, oh, this is our punishment for the old war. They're finally catching up to us, like the judgment for our sins. And it's not like really answered in the first book what it's, really about.
Okay.
But it's also, I mean, I won't lie, it does remain a little ambiguous because it's kind of up for the interpretation of the people. And yeah, so I mean, it was cool to think about a world on that scale
Yeah.
because I feel like past fantasy stuff that I've written, it's has political elements, but not this much. And you do have to think about all of that stuff. You have to think about how do they feed people? How do they deal with illness? How do they defend their city? What is the position, their defending position?
And that
What's
they
their
plan
water
to like, will keep
supply?
enough for themselves, but not their people. They're gonna,
Right,
the
right.
magistrates are gonna keep themselves fed.
Yeah. Yeah, which, doesn't go too well for them. So,
It's not, no.
No, so much of the fantasy aspect of this book revolves around the gods and like the god of
mhm.
blood, the magic and the power there. And I'm so curious. Sorry. You can ask Leanna. This is something that I thought about it the whole time I was reading. But obviously, early on, you learn that Luca is called on by the gods. Like he's called by the gods, and he has this halo that like signals who he is.
Hide
What
me.
are the logistics of that? Is it like a angel halo situation? Is it more like a little like because there are a couple times where I'm like, this man is trying to be a little incognito, but in my head he's got this glowing halo happening at
He's
all
Yeah.
glowing
times.
as he's walking through the
And
town.
then also right at
Yeah.
the end, you see that Maris also gets a call from the gods and gets this
Hmm.
puff winged glowing situation again as she's like right before leaving the city, trying not to
Mm.
be found out. Um, from you, the writer's perspective, my imagination took me so many logistical ways. How do you picture those elements physically present on those characters?
Okay, so when the Halo thing is first described. It's like it's there, but it's like you see it like in turns of light, kind of.
Ah.
And when it's dark, you kind of see the reflection of it a little bit more. So it's not this big glowing like light that's above his head. It's kind of
Not
like
like not
people
like
can
this.
see it. Yeah.
I was
So
like, is this
people
over his head?
so people can see it, but like it's not just like a glaring like spotlight like they can't even always see that it's a whole circle. Like they might just see like the side of it or like part of the circlet or whatever. And then for the other gifts in the book, they all do have this like glow, but they're not like it can be easily hidden by a sleeve, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my
So
it's like my brain was just like, it just got this like halo situation. But also part of me
mhm.
wanted to make it into one of those like Greek olive gold crown situation that like
Yeah.
hood could pop up over, you know? I don't know what was going on, but there were just so many moments as I was reading where Luca was doing stuff, and I was like, I wonder who's seeing his little halo right now.
Yeah.
Like this tense moment, and I'm like, oh, the halo's there. Like,
Well, and he's really the only one who can't like conceal his gift. Like
yeah.
everybody else
Ah.
who has a gift, it can be concealed, but his can't, which is like part of, his dismay is that like he cannot get away from this thing.
And he doesn't even
Um,
believe in them to begin with.
no. I mean, he knows the gods are there,
Right.
right? But like he doesn't put his faith in them. He's
Yeah.
certainly not like loyal to them or anything. So he's really not the man for the job. Like
Mm.
they chose wrong.
They chose
Um
poorly.
yeah, like I'll show you the special edition has like their interpretation of what the halo was like kind of
Is this
like
Fairy Loot? Who
this,
is this?
sort of. This
Oh.
is this Owl Crate?
I'll create a Fairy Loot. One of them.
Why can't I see who it is? Owl Crate. So
Oh,
like,
it's like part of his gladiator outfit almost.
yeah, but it's kind of like just in the background, like
Yeah.
above. But in my head, like it isn't doesn't have like as many like rays coming off of it per se, but like oh, I've seen quite a bit of like fan art and stuff already that does depict it more like that, and
Hmm.
so I feel like it's not like a super strict thing, but it's not. It is like kind of translucent and iridescent.
Which makes so much more sense.
Right. So they like shimmer.
So thank you for clarifying that for me because
Yeah,
I
you're
mean
welcome.
I genuinely just got so distracted by it for no reason at all.
You're like, what about the halo?
Literally was like
I know, but then she also has like it described her cup as like having wings. So then I'm like, does she have like angel wings now? Or are they like wings that are like tucked back in?
No,
Or is it
there
just like
it's a
cups?
cup
like
that's like
a cuff
it's a
that's
cup
yeah.
Okay.
designed to where like the wings wrap around her arm.
Mm. Okay, so are
And that's what
these
makes up the cup.
is this going to play a much bigger role now in book two then, now that they both have these gifts and they're going forth
Yeah.
with them?
Yeah.
You want to tell us any
That's
more?
all I'll say about it. Yeah, the gods come into like they get more context in the second
Uh,
book and kind of like the rhyme and reason behind who's getting gifted and all of that is kind of brought to light.
like
And each
there was this very foretelling, foreshadowing moment early on in your book where I think it's Luca that says it, where he says, how much choice belongs to us and how much belongs to the gods.
Yeah, I mean that's theme stated. That's the
Yeah.
theme of the entire story.
So
Yeah.
going forward with book two, will the gods play more of a role, or are Luca and Maris going to have more autonomy or try to break away, or
Both.
mm,
Yeah, so like I mean the gods the gods aren't happy that Maris and Luca aren't just doing their bidding,
Going
you
along with
know?
it.
Yeah, they're not happy about it. And so, Luca wants to see everything through this like scientific world that can be quantified.
Mm.
And Maris is coming from this place of being very pious and superstitious, and both of their beliefs get challenged. So, like,
Mm.
like they both have to kind of reconcile and bring balance to their views. And then they also have to fight for their own agency and autonomy in the story, apart from what they've been chosen to do. And so, because again, the gods aren't the only ones who chose them and want to use them. Like their mentors did that, their
Right.
parents did that, their city did that. So, you know,
Yeah. I feel like they even somewhat do it to each other. Like
yeah.
they have these plans for the other to,
Mm.
yeah, it's so interesting.
Mhm.
Um, we only have a couple more minutes, and I'm gonna make sure we get to some of the questions from people in the
Oh my
chat.
gosh, we
As
really
we
are
wrap
almost
up.
out of time already. That went by so fast.
I know. Want to talk about the ending.
Ah,
First of all, how dare you?
how
Um,
dare you break our heart?
no,
I threw my book across the
10,
room.
the last 10% of that book, like I said earlier, was like so anxiety inducing because where it syncs up of both wars happening, like it's like we finally get to like, okay, this is how we got to where we started. But now where we started is now in full-blown siege mode.
Yeah.
It is so intense. And then
Mm.
you also like right in the middle of that, you finally get to this like, well, also like you a little bit more, you reveal like, oh, they've been husband and wife this whole time. Holy crap. That adds a layer to this. And then you get to this point where
Hmm.
they finally have their like romantic, connection and moment where you're just like, finally the slow burns happened. And then the next chapter, oh my gosh. And then Luca doesn't go with her.
Mm.
Yeah. He doesn't.
He doesn't go with
Did you know
He
that
do-
from day one?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't always know the ending of books, but I always knew that I knew that this story was going to be two books, and that the middle point would be him sending her out of the city
Mm.
and like out of her control. And against her will. So that was always the plan. I was always like writing towards that.
Mm.
Yeah. Jackie dropped in a question in the Q&A and asked, what made you choose to do multiple narrators and audiobook narrators?
Hmm.
Having it, I was like, I honestly, I was grateful. I partially listened
Audio
to
was
the
awesome.
audiobook. It was really
Hmm.
great. And like having dual narrators on that. Did you have any say in that or?
Oh yeah. Okay, so how we normally I both of my publishers are extremely collaborative. Like I am seriously very lucky because a lot of authors don't get any kind of participation in anything creative, or production centered. And so both of my publishers are collaborative, both of my audio production teams are also collaborative. And so what we normally do, they'll ask like, do you have anyone in mind? Because I listen to audiobooks too. And I didn't have anybody in particular in mind for this project. And so I asked them to make recommendations, and they send like a list, like here are 5 women and 5 men, and that we think would be good. And here's some clips of them reading other projects.
Mm.
And so we go through those, and then we narrow it down to maybe like 3 men, 3 women, and then they audition. So they like read, I don't remember, they read somewhere an excerpt from Maris's first chapter and Luca's first chapter. And then I listened to those. And from there, I picked who I thought was the best one. Um, and then as long as they're available with their schedule, then they can make it happen. So that's how it works with my team. But we knew it was going to be two different, like a man and woman narrator, because it is dual POV. And nowadays, like I feel like more current books that are getting made, like if it has a male and female both narrator, they try
It's so
to,
nice.
It's so much better,
yeah,
having a male narrator
Then
go
you don't have the
an
woman who's
octave.
talking like this.
for a whole chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so
Well,
hard.
right. That's true. It's different if it's just like he comes in and says, "Hey, how you doing?" But yeah, you've got
Right.
a
Like
whole
it that's
chapter of a
that's
woman
like
talking like this.
yeah, but for a whole chapter, no. Oh, so that's so hard to listen to.
Yeah, the audiobook was very well done. So
Yeah,
great.
they did a great job.
I loved this book. I really did. I loved how it was so thoughtful and like your writing style is just syncs up with how my brain works and you give such great background details and you make us fall in love with these characters, but then it's over and I'm like, I have to wait for the next book to find out what happens.
Next fall,
Oh, is that what it is?
hopefully.
That's what I was saying. When is it?
Yeah, that's when it's supposed to be. Either like November, maybe beginning of December, but it'll be about a year out as long as like printing logistics work correctly.
Has anybody
So
contacted you to make this a movie yet? Because I feel like it totally gives movie vibes.
no, it's out on submission. It kind
Oh,
of
fun.
TV film stuff kind of works the same as book stuff where you have an agent who goes out and pitches it. So
Okay.
it's being pitched right now since it's new.
So
So
fun.
maybe we'll see.
So fun. Monica, I'm so glad to see you in the chat. She was a barista at Fabled who
Oh,
moved a few states away, but we
that's
miss
so
her. And
fun.
she was a huge fantasy friend. But she asked or said, and then asked, I love the female characters in the novel. When conducting your research, did you study the powerful women of Rome like Agrippina or Livia in addition to the civilizations?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I did. I definitely looked into, tried to investigate the role of women, right? Which is recorded by men in history. So there's like that whole like filter and whatever, but there were clearly some very powerful women in Rome. And yeah, I definitely like I read about them and, tried to a lot of this, it's not historical. So I feel like there are definitely things that I took from pretty much every area of research, but then had to like make it my own and kind of put it in, through the filter of my own world. But that part was really interesting because I mean, they were a patriarchal society, but then they did have these exceptions where there were some very powerful women. And of course, some of their gods are women and all of
Mhm.
that. And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic there.
So cool. All right, we are
Um,
almost out of time. So I'm gonna do a quick rapid, like if you don't mind, Leellen.
Shoot. Well, I want to know, like, before you leave, I know you are working on, or maybe it's already done, book two, but are you working on
Mhm.
anything else? Like, are
Yeah,
there
I'm working on a
other
million
Adrienne
things.
books that you can tell us about?
Yeah. Working on a lot of things. The thing I'm about to start drafting right like tomorrow is my next adult magical realism.
Oh,
So the in the vein of Spells for Forgetting, June Farrow, those books,
okay.
I'm doing my next book in my contract with that publisher. And
Can you give us a little
it's
blurb?
yeah, it's very much in the vein of my other books, except it's not stateside this time. It takes place in Scotland, which is
Oh,
one of my favorite
I was
places,
just
is my favorite
there this
place.
summer.
Yeah, I love Scotland so much. So it is in the kind of academic world. It's a little like dark academia vibes, art scholar situation, who is kind of evaluating the art collection of an old estate there, and I am having a lot of fun with that book. And so I'm about literally like hours away from starting to draft it, and I'm super excited about it.
So right now you have like outline, plot, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Love it. How
Hmm.
exciting. Okay, and when will
Yeah.
that come out?
That will come out spring 27.
So will you
So
like stagger them then? Like you'll do like a adult and then or like more traditional and then fantasy or to kind of like
yeah, it
get
kind
your
of it
brain.
changes kind of every time depending on the schedule, different variables, but how this will go is Fallen City 2 will be at the end of 26. And then my next adult novel will be in the spring of 27. And then I probably won't have anything come out that fall, and I'll have another adult come out spring of 28. And then fall of 28, start a new series that's fantasy. So it's
How
kind
fun.
of, yeah,
It is good to be you. It is good to be us that get to read to you.
complicated.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, my editors don't like doing the song and dance of figuring out the schedule, but
Oh, it's so
there's
great
just a
for
lot of
us
books.
though to be able to have like so many books to look forward to with you. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, before you go, we always love to ask, what is something that you recently read that you really loved, or that you are currently reading that you would like to share with our readers?
I just finished The Will of the Many.
Oh,
Um,
so good.
yeah, so good. I mean, I was like, what is all the hype about this book? I've got to read it. And then I was like, oh,
So
that's
now
the
you got
hype.
to read The Strength With You. Now you got to read the next
Yeah,
500-page
I
book.
know, but it like they're so big that
Yeah.
like they're long, and so like I have to like commit.
So good
So
though.
I have the second book though, and I am very excited about it. And then I'm also reading. I love reading mystery thriller stuff, and I'm reading one called The Last One at the Wedding. I
Oh,
think is what it's called. And it's all from the perspective of this like humdrum UPS driver dad who's like very old fashioned and just doesn't understand the modern world and whatever, but travels to his daughter's very, very fancy wedding to a very mysterious man from a very rich family. And it's all told from his perspective, and there's like a mystery and stuff. But it's just hilarious because this guy is like such a realistic, like,
UPS dad.
yes, oh my gosh, it's actually been like really refreshing to read.
I love that. I
I've
actually
really
love how that
enjoyed
because
it.
like your books are so deep and immersive that like you're like, I just need something fun to read.
Yes. Okay, so Monica read it. Okay,
That's
it's
Jason
awesome. Oh,
Reculak.
it's Jason. I love
Yes.
you guys, like, I laugh in every chapter. His little like internal monologue and how he's just like he has to like sign an NDA when he gets to the venue, and he's like wants to read the whole thing, and just like so many things. I was like his characterization is so good for this character. So that's like kind of a different type of book, but I often read mystery and thriller stuff. And that one's been fun. I'm not to the end yet, but
Okay, we won't tell you what happens. I love it.
So fun. Well, oh my gosh. Thank you, Adrienne.
It's
And
been an
thank you
hour.
everyone who joined in with us
Amazing.
tonight. And several more people weren't able to make it, but they get to watch this tomorrow, which is exciting. I'm gonna have Adrienne, you can stay for this or you can leave. But
Yeah,
we're
thank you
gonna
so much, Adrienne. We
yeah.
appreciate your time and talent, and I love that you got to chat with us and dive deep into this.
yeah, thank you guys so much for having me and for picking the book for your book club.
Absolutely. It was so
I
fun.
hope you enjoy the next one.
Yeah, like
Oh,
we'll
we
see
are
you next
chomping at the
December.
bit.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm just really excited that we get even more from all of your talent coming up. So that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots more
Add to my
coming.
shelf. We'll just keep stuffing my shelf full of your books.
All
Thanks.
right, you guys have a good night.
You as
Bye.
well.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming.
And then Lee
All
Ellen,
right.
you want to announce to our attendees
I
what we're
know.
reading next?
I'm
I
so
will
excited.
have it
So,
in the
everybody
chat.
watching, we aren't doing a book in December because it is the holidays and crazy. But January, we have a book, and we've already picked our date to discuss it. So, February 4th, Wednesday, we will discuss it. Oh, she already popped it in there. It is Alex Harrow's new book, The Everlasting, which, where is it? Of course, I don't have it on my desk right now. Um, I don't have it. I should have thought of that
Oh
ahead of
no,
time.
I
It's on
have
my
the
counter and I don't want to get it. I see it from
audiobook
here.
version.
There we go. I'm like, shoot, it was right here, and I put it over there when I was texting you earlier. So we would love to have you join us. We're really excited. We both already have read it, and I think it's going to make for really great discussion because of all the themes. And just another book that's got really strong female characters. So I think it's going to be really cool.
It's also so fun because Alex, I actually, a part of my job here is like to reach out to these authors to set up these interviews. And sometimes it's really hard to get in touch with them. And Alex is one of those. And I just like on a random Tuesday was like, oh my gosh, we wanted to see if Alex would be our January book club. Let me get that email out. And 3 minutes after I sent the email, she responded to me. She goes, your timing is impeccable. I never check my emails, but I have been like sorting through them today only, and I'm so interested. Lock me in. So I'm so pumped that I sent that email at the perfect time for her to actually see it, and we get to chat with her, and she seems like so much fun. So,
Yeah, she's
yeah.
really brilliant. And I think that you guys will really enjoy the book because of all of the themes. You get a little time travel, you get some romance and a super BA woman. So,
Yeah, it's also gorgeous.
Lady Knight.
It's
It is. It's that was one of the
yeah.
books. It's funny
It's
she
like
talked about Scotland. I brought it to Scotland with me, and I literally dragged it around with me everywhere because I'm like, I want to take a picture of this in front of some really cool old church. So when I finally found the right church, I was like, oh, here we
yes.
go.
I know we don't have a copy to show you right now,
I
but
know.
it's
I can't believe
beautiful.
that was an epic fail.
We'll be prepared
It's
next
so
time.
good.
But thank you all for joining. We will
Yeah.
see
Thanks,
you a
everyone.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes. Happy New Year, and everyone watch the replay. Join us live next time. We'd love to have you.
Yep. All right. Good night.
Bye, Kai. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.